Once again, my name is Dr. Clement Ogbaini. You are welcome to BAM 205, Optimal Structure and Management. This is the second lecture in the series. Now, we shall be looking at some of the policies, practices, and procedures that significantly shape both group and individual dynamics in an organization. Because individuals and groups, their dynamics, their changes among individuals and groups is what we refer to as group dynamics. They affect organization positively and negatively. Management policies, practices, procedures significantly shape both the group and individuals within an organization, impacting everything from communication, collaboration, to conflict resolution and the morale of the workers. So in looking at those individuals and group dynamics, we shall be looking at them based on the following headings. Number one is leadership and communication. For an organization to succeed, there must be an effective leadership. That is, the management of the organization must play their role well in providing the needed leadership for the organization to excel. They must play their role well to provide the necessary leadership for the organization to succeed. And like in leadership, we know there are different types of leadership style. We have the autocratic leadership style that does not hold meetings. Even if he does, he will ensure that he will just read out, the meeting will not be more informative. There's no innovativeness, there is no initiative from the other attendees. And also, an autocratic leader just marshal out instructions and people are just to obey. We have the democratic leadership that encourages discussion, participation, and maybe if it comes to voting, the majority wins the vote. Then we also have the transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is interested in transforming the workers to become better. So it brings out the best in the workers. It believes that the workers, they have something to offer. They have something positive to offer. But you need to bring out the best in the workers. Why the transactional leaders believe that here I give you what you want, you give me what I want. Of which when they increase pay, they expect you to work more. When you can, if you can achieve the objective, they pay you. If you cannot, they discipline you. So this is a transactional leader. It believes everything is reduced to exchange. Then we also have the bureaucratic leader that believes in following the laid down procedures without much bringing in initiative. Then we now have the laissez-faire that believe that workers have the intelligence, they have the knowledge, they have the attitude, they have the disposition to work well. So there's no need for supervision. So that is for the laissez-faire leadership. But what we are saying is that you must choose a leadership style that works for your organization. Then there must be efficient and organizational communication. Communication within the organization must be effective. Communication outside the organization must also be effective. And also, that when we are talking of when directives are being given, they must be clear, they must be unambiguous, they must communicate what is expected to do in a way that the workers don't need any further clarification before they can execute the job. But on the other hand, there is also need for communication outside the organization in terms of communicating with your customers, with your suppliers, with your with the government and with the community and even with the investors. So all these are necessary for an organization to perform well. So and also there must be feedback. An organization must set up a process to actively collect feedback. Because at times when you communicate, you should expect feedback. You should expect feedback. And you must be able to bring in, expect whether this work, the structure you gave was perfectly executed. And also you must be ready for criticism. And also, an organization must emphasizes teamwork because only one individual cannot know it all. You need a collaboration among individuals to achieve the goals. So here is organizational goals we are talking about, not individual goals. So to achieve organizational goals, you must encourage teamwork because every individual has its own strengths and has its own weaknesses. But when they come together, they can come up with a robust decision and also in performance. They are collaborating, one covering the weaknesses of using his strength to cover the weaknesses of the other, make the organization to be able to achieve its goal. But at the end of the day, achieving the goal is the most important thing. And an organization must have a clear value which they want to achieve. And now we also look at in every organization, as we are talking about groups and group dynamics, there are bound to be conflicts. There are bound to be conflicts. In management, conflict is good for an organization because conflict helps in bringing out a robust argument, bringing out uh, engagement so that the superior argument will surpass. But in a situation where there are no conflicts, there will be a kind of complacency. Even when people know that this is wrong, but because the leader have said that this is what they want to do, even when others know that what is the leader is saying is wrong, they will continue to they will just abide. So and also they might in organization there individual conflicts and also there is also interdepartmental conflicts and also there is the inter-organizational conflict. But what we are saying here is that whatever be the conflict, there must be a procedure, there must be a way that is laid down for conflict resolution. We're also looking at in an organization, there must be a inclusiveness. An organization need to practice diversity. Don't employ only people from your tribe when you are running an organization. Don't employ people only from your religion. Don't employ people from only from one area of expertise. Maybe you employ only engineers, you employ only management staff, you employ only people that study only one course because they are coming from the same areas of understanding. So, but when you employ people from different tribes, different religions, different geographical uh, place of origin, and also different you have an interdisciplinary approach so that it makes the organization to be more robust in its decision making. And you must be transparent and most importantly, be goal oriented. Like we said in the first lecture, an organization must have its goal, which they are pursuing. If you want to do management, every organization must have a vision, a mission, a goal, and objective. And these goals and objectives must be made known to every worker from the top to the bottom. So they know where the organization is going to. Then let's look at decision making that an organization need to make. When we are the decision making we are talking about here is in a situation where which is unclear, in a situation that is ambiguous, how an organization is ready to take decisions that that follows ethical standards. He is supposed to take decisions that follows multiculturalism. It follows intergroup behavior consideration. So you have to, when taking decision in organization, your decision might not just be how to enhance profit, how to lower cost, how to optimize supply chain. You must also take decision in a way that it follows ethical standards, it follows quality expected, it follows corporate social responsibility, which is expected from that organization. So we are saying is that an organization in situation, if they are taking decision under ambiguity, they must consider the following: ethical dilemmas and complex. So you must do what is in line with ethical standards, just like in the medical industry. Anything that is unethical can be detrimental to human health. Same thing in general business, whether in buying and selling, in production. If your ingredients, your input of production, if they are not quality, and you mix it with products that are not of quality standard, the end product might not be of good quality, which will not serve the satisfaction of the consumer. And also, if supposing you are, let's say you are producing meat and the ingredients you use, so one of the ingredients is bad, it can cause a health hazard. So in serving customer, whether you are rendering services or you are producing product, you must follow ethical standard. Don't say because you want to make profit, you want to lower the standard, you want to use means that are counterproductive because you want to make profit. It is wrong in management, and you avoid any form of potential bias. Organizations don't run well if there are biases. You don't take a position that maybe you say, I don't want to employ people from this religion, I don't want to employ people from this cultural background, or I don't want to employ people from this geographical location, or I don't want to appoint suppliers, I don't want to deal with this kind of people. So you mustn't be biased in your disposition if you want to run an organization. And a good organization, like we said before, must be expecting conflict, but you must put in place what are those things that you will do in order to ensure that those conflicts are resolved, not just resolved, they are resolved to the benefit of the organization. It should be a win-win situation when conflict arises. That conflict should be settled in a way that all parties will see themselves as winners. So, and you must address power imbalance and favoritism. Favoritism kills organization. Favoritism kills organization. Somebody, example of favoritism, somebody will not come to work for 5 days, you sack the person. Another person did not come to work for the same 5 days, you say you just want the person. But in this case now, why did you want one and the other one you sack? So you cannot give reasons for doing that. So it's favoritism. Also in recruitment and selection, you make sure that your system of recruiting must be based on high ethical standards. Let the person that merits the job in terms of qualification and performance in the let the person be the one that is employed. Because if you employ a staff that is not qualified to take up position in an organization, certainly that staff that is substandard we want to bring in more people in the same way it was brought in. So you must make sure that you ensure that there is excellence in your recruitment process. Also, this excellence, apart from recruiting, excellence must be also be brought in. There must be fairness in your promotion. When you are promoting, you must have carried out a, a performance appraisal. The grading that shows the performance of staff. Some will perform when you carry out a performance appraisal. There are so many criteria you can use in carrying out performance appraisal. You can use the peer group review. You can use individual rating. You can use 360-degree rating. You can also use the manager's criteria. But what we are saying is that whichever method you use in doing your performance appraisal, let it be fair, let it be equitable, let it be that it is done in a way that nobody is discriminated. And the result of the performance appraisal should influence your decision on who to promote, who to remain in his position, and who to be devoted. Even issues of compensation, salary increase should be based on performance. So that is why we are saying that performance appraisals need to be done before you carry out your promotion and before you increase the salary. Because if people that are working in the same organization, one is working more than the other, and you promote them at the same time, the other one that is working more than the other staff will not be happy because he merits it, the other one doesn't merit it, but you promote the two of them. Also, when you increase their salary, one that is working more than the other, we feel that, yes, I work more than the other, but now we are receiving the same salary. This is what we normally refer to as eternal equity tension. So we have to avoid this eternal equity tension when we are carrying out the promotion, when we are carrying out the increase in salary, and also when we are carrying out the transfers and placements. So it is very important. If you want to build a long-lasting organization, you must build it on the pillars of fairness, pillars of equity, pillars of diversity. Now, we look at promotion. Promotional decisions, like we said, must not be discriminatory. Rather, it must be based on a standard that has been set. And also, in an organization, you must put in place safety measures. There must be policies on safety, not just outline the policy. There must be a monitoring of the system to ensure that there is compliance with the safety policy. There are organizations that will say that if a machine works from 8 a.m. to 12, that machine must be shut down. It will rest for 1 hour so that the workers can go on break. When they come back, they can continue. With that, the machine that the temperature has been high, that machine can now rest and the temperature will come down again. Also, the workers that have been working intensively will have opportunity to go and rest, refresh themselves, and continue for the rest of the day. So there must be safety standard. If you are going to the production area, you must wear your helmet, you must wear your reflective jacket. And also, there are workers in some specific areas that are very, very prone to risk, very prone to hazard. Those ones need to be protected. Insurance need to be provided for them. And the protective equipment should be made available to all the staff. And like in many organizations, it is encouraged that they have fire extinguishers. They should be able to have fire extinguishers in different locations, and they should be able to carry out from time to time, they carry out a drill on, say, if there is any fire break, if there's any accident, this is what each staff is expected to do. Also, in the area of health, workers that are working in hazardous areas, workers that work in a place maybe the temperature is very high, or the sound of machines are very high, or the dust in that place is very high. Those workers, their health is important. You need to train them. You need to provide for them to take care of their health. That is why in some organizations, people that work in, especially men that work in places of high temperature, they normally give them enough, give them milk as a supplement so that their sperm count will not reduce because of the high temperature of the place where they work. So this health is very, very important, and organizations are expected. If you don't have a clinic, you must have a, a clinic or an hospital that is on retainership where your workers can easily patronize. And also, in the case of accident, in the case of emergency, you must have like a standby vehicle that can take the worker to the clinic or to the hospital where they can easily be treated. And apart from this, you must have good relationship with the community where you operate. The community should see you as a blessing, not as a curse. You have to participate in decision making in the community. You have to participate in by donating to the community in their assisting the youth in their sporting activities, in their educational careers, and also uh, in providing security. So there are so many ways an organization can support the community where they operate, so that the community must like that organization. You need to make them understand that your coming there is actually a blessing and not a cost, because your presence in that community is affecting it has environmental impact on the that community. So yeah, on your own as a business or as a company, you must learn to how to pay back to the community where you operate. And organizations need to enhance ethical standards in their supply chain management, where they are getting their supplies, how they are distributing their goods and services. They must also enhance their how maintain ethical standard in all those areas. We want to look at factors and forces managers must confront, both internal and externally of an organization. That is, we are looking at the internal and external factors that affect an organization. So these internal and external factors these are forces that determine whether the organization succeeds or not. There are factors that determine whether an organization will succeed or not. And also, they play a key role in ensuring the stability, the profitability, the liquidity, and the survival of that organization. So, because of their importance, managers are encouraged to study these internal and external variables so as to give them the right position in analysis and coming up with the strategies to handle them. So first and foremost, we will look at those internal factors. Then we will go for that to look at the external factors. In order the internal factors, what we mean by internal factors here is that these are factors that they not just internal to the organization, they are controllable. They are internal to the organization, they are controllable. That is, the managers or the management of the organization can effectively control them. Number one is organizational culture. What do we call an organizational culture? In the layman way, we can say that your organizational culture represents what you do how you operate that makes you different from another organization, even when you people are in the same industry. So if you look at a bank like Zenith Bank, you look at another bank like Guaranteed Trust Bank, what are the things that we make and Zenith Bank and Guaranteed Trust Bank, they are both into banking industry. What are those things that you will use to differentiate Zenith Bank from Guaranteed Trust Bank? Or you look at a university like University of Lagos and Lagos State University, LASU. University of Lagos, UNILAG, and University of Lagos, LASU, they are both universities. They offer the same educational, tertiary educational services. But what are the things that you can use to differentiate them? That is what we call the organizational culture. It includes the value, the beliefs, the behavior, the characteristics, the colors, the slogan, the trademark, the logo. All these differentiate one organization from another. You can see many organizations. Anything that an organization can use to separate itself from others is its culture. So those values, those beliefs, those behavior, those trademarks, those logo and others is how it comes under the organization. The organization have to manage it. It has to manage its brand. It has to manage its image, because how you manage it is important. Then the leadership. The leadership of one company differs from another. Like we said at the initial part, there are different types of leadership style. So it is depend on the organization to choose the leadership style that he wants to follow. Whether you want to be autocratic, want to be democratic, you want to be bureaucratic, you want to be transactional, you want to be transformational, you want to be a coaching style, you want to be to follow the authoritative style. So it depends on the organization. So there are also ethical leadership styles. So it depends on the leadership style, which is under the control of the company. You look at the human resources. How do you manage your human resources? How do you motivate them? How do you engage them? How do you enhance their commitment? It matters. So how do you compensate them? All these are within the preview of the company. Then your structure, is it the functional structure? Is it the line and staff? Is it the matrix structure? Is it the team of the is it the team structure, or is it the project structure? So whichever structure you want to use, it depends on the organization to choose. But what we are emphasizing here is choose the structures that enhance your attainment of your organizational objective and your organizational goal. Your structure, if your structure does not match with your strategy, you will not be able to achieve your goal. So you choose the structures that help you to use your strategy to achieve your organizational goal. So the technology you want to use to deliver your services and your manufacture your product is important. It's at your own choice. How you deploy your financial resources in terms of financial forecasting, financial planning, how you plan your profit, how you plan your liquidity, all these are choices that are available to the management. So if making the right choices depends on determine attainment of goals. Then you look at internal processes. What are the internal processes that you are put in place? How effective and how efficient are these internal processes? Process here means the stage by stage, unit by unit, that a product will pass through before it is finally produced, or a service will pass through before it is finally delivered. So the thing is that how effective, how efficient your processes are determine whether you will succeed or not. So that is the reason why we were taught lean operation, we are taught agile operation, we are taught business process engineering, re-engineering. All these are techniques to make our processes to be efficient and effective to achieve our goals. Then you have to be able to boost morale. You have to study your market. No business succeeds without studying the market effectively. Every business succeeds by you study your markets, study your conditions, study your competitors, study your customers. Because what was customers' preference last year might be different from customer preference today. Because as we were taught in economics, taste and preferences, these are variables that are always changing. What customer wanted before may not be what they want now. That is why you see the fashion industry, they're always coming up with the latest model. Even in the automobile industry, like Honda, Toyota, all those ones, Mercedes, they are always coming up with newer models because they know that the previous model they brought out, that one, the customer has become bored. The customer wants something new. So they always come with newer model so that they make their product to look fresh. And it might just be a redesign of what they already have. There might not be serious changes in the capacity of the product, but it is just a redesign. Even some of the products we use, we see that like Omo, they say that the new Omo. What is the difference between the new Omo and the old Omo? There's no much difference. I think it's just the package that they change. I think they said it is the new improved Omo. But there's nothing that have really changed, but it is the packaging. But the thing is that where customers are faced with one product, the same shape, the same color, the same design over time, they get bored with it. So it is good you offer them something new, something fresh. So that is for an organization to stand, they must be able to monitor their external, the internal environment. Some of the external environment that must be monitored are the economic conditions, measure the prices, the inflation, the interest rate, the unemployment rate, the exchange rate, the balance of payment, you carry out, you know whether the economy is growing or not. All these must have implications on how a company can succeed. But one thing we want to say about these external forces is that one, they are external to the organization and the organization cannot control it. Like interest rate, organization can't control it. Inflation, which means there's a general increase in prices, organization cannot control it. Unemployment rate, an organization cannot control it. Balance of payment or using the national income accounting, an organization cannot control it because these one are aggregate variables that affect the whole economy. But monitoring them help you to shape your strategy properly. Technological changes as new challenges are coming up, new technologies are being developed to handle the challenges. So these are things that you have to measure. You have to measure changes in the socio-economic variables because the culture is changing. Government regulations are also changing. You have to monitor the legal environment. Like now, Nigeria have just changed their minimum wage. In one way or the other, it will affect all government companies and also private companies. Otherwise, private companies will be losing their best staff to government organization. So whichever way, from 30,000 to 70,000, as minimum wage has changed, it will certainly affect both the private and the government. But that of the government is compulsory, but that of the private is not compulsory. But in one way or the other, on the long run, it will be affecting the private sector. Then you monitor global changes in events. And also, you have to monitor some environmental changes, just like climate change. Climate change is a serious issue, and it affects every aspect of human life. A good manager or a good organization, you need to monitor all those environmental forces, and you need to monitor the technological advancement. You need to monitor changes in the socio-political. You need to monitor changes in the legal environment. You need to monitor global events, because whichever way they are going to affect. Example, the problem between Russia and Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine happen to be the two dominant countries in the production of fertilizers. But the war in Russia and Ukraine, they don't allow so much exportation of fertilizer from Ukraine to many countries. And it affected agricultural produce worldwide. So things that happen at the international level, in one way or the other, it affects other countries. Just like when there is things that happen and there's blockage in shipping, it will affect every aspect of it will affect every country, and it will affect every industry. So a good manager needs to monitor those external and internal environment, because when you analyze your internal and external environment, what you are doing is that it helps you to identify your internal environment. When you monitor it, you will be able to identify your strengths, you'll be able to identify your weaknesses. When you monitor the external environment, it's able to identify opportunities and threats. So these opportunities and threats, and which exist in the external environment, you need to know how to formulate strategy to use this opportunity, and also to reduce this threat. And the internal environment, which I said, that when you monitor them, you will come up with your strengths and your weaknesses. You use your strength to reduce your weaknesses so that you can survive. So you plan your strategies based on that SWOT analysis to be able to achieve a breakthrough in the management of the organization. So this is where we are ending it for today. This is, like I said, it's just a tip of the iceberg. You need to read more about these ethical issues. You need to read more about individual and group dynamics. You need to read more about the internal and external environmental variables that affect organization. You need to know more about what we said, that for an organization to exist and continue to do well, that they must be able to integrate all the stakeholders. They must not be biased, and there must be equity and fairness. There must be they must establish, they must avoid anything like equity tension. They must have a way of resolving conflict, and they must avoid imbalance favoritism. They must promote fairness, and they must also be involved in promoting their goals, ensure that there's safety at work, and help providing for the health of the workers. And they must engage the community and see themselves as a blessing to the community by providing for the community in the best way that they can. So thank you for listening to this lecture. Once again, my name is Dr. Clement. Remain blessed.